Welcome to Music Ed Tech Talk, a show about music, education, and technology. I'm your host, Robby Burns. I am recording both sides, but sometimes the guest audio is better. I mean, we can just go loose. You know, the last time I did this with Will, he was on a Vision Pro and recording on AirPods Pro.
I just listened to that.
And I was just like listening to that the other day, and I was like, "This is fine."
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Why?
I was surprised when he said he was recording on AirPods Pro because it sounded actually like pretty good.
Yeah, and that's not even with whatever pro audio. Isn't there like some new pro audio feature in the AirPods, or is that rumored, or is that actually a thing? I don't know.
I have no idea. Know. I'm like a week behind on the shovel blogs. I would
love to talk Apple nerd stuff with you. It's pretty in a little bit here. It's been a while. But I'm like a week behind on 9 to 5 and Mac rumors in Reader. No, there's just a category of like rumors that I just kind of ignore at this point. Like,
yeah, I'm with you. Like I'll find out about it when I find out about it. I don't care that much about the rumored colors. I care deeply about what the colors will be more than I should, but I don't care what the rumored colors are. Like I don't care what the rumored camera resolution is, you know?
Yeah, I don't get into hardly any of it at all. I'm kind of just like the next iPhone will be the best one. And that's
They'll tell me what's in it, and I'll probably get it anyway because I'm on the iPhone upgrade program. Though I find myself every year getting slightly less excited about updating my phone, and one of these years I'm just not going to do it.
So this is what I've learned as a person on the iPhone upgrade program. I think this is how they get you psychologically. It's just like slightly inconvenient to like undo it, but I guess technically the easiest way to undo it is to just like not get a new phone, and then you own the phone
in another year.
And I've pushed. This is the biggest push I've ever done on an iPad and on an Apple Watch. I've had my Apple Watch for 2 years, and that's I think until this one I upgraded annually. And that
are you on the watch?
Yeah.
Robby, there's nothing that goes on the watch.
The battery is actually on this thing. This is only a 2-year-old watch. It's pretty bad now, but I'm also running beta software on it, so that's on me.
I use watches I think I have kept each of my Apple Watches for 4 or 5 years.
Oh my gosh. Do you track sleep though?
No, I do not. And that's one of the many reasons why is because the battery is bad for that.
So I'm gonna go ultra this go round. I hope they update it. And the rumors say they probably will. And then this is I guess I'll just wear this when I sleep, but I'm hoping that I don't.
They watch Night Watch.
Yeah, they watch Night Watch. You got to have one. And then this is like a steel one, so it looks kind of nice. I got a little steel band that I can wear like if I go to a wedding, which is like once every 5 years these days.
Yeah.
But that's my watch story. My iPad Pro is pushing 6 years old. That's the real thing, and I use it still every day, but it's not fun to use, but it is usable. It's got the iPad OS beta on it. It's fine, but this is too much push for an iPad, though.
So I keep thinking that the next Apple Watch that I get is going to be something that's not an Apple Watch because I don't like the way the Apple Watch looks. I think it's ugly. I've always found it's ugly. And then recently, because I'm getting married in January, I thought, well, I'm not going to wear my Apple Watch to my wedding, right? That is tacky and ugly. And so I used to have a couple of I'm not like a mechanical watch person, just like nice looking quartz watches. And so I bought a new like nice looking quartz watch from this cool Scandinavian company, Nezumi. And it arrived and I thought, this is cool. I want to wear this. But if I wear this, then I won't be able to get texts on my phone and know my heart rate when I, whatever. And so I haven't. But if there was another good way that I could do that integrated with all of my other stuff in the way that the Apple Watch does, I would get rid of this ugly piece of garbage in a heartbeat.
Yeah. A lot of people feel this way.
It's just so ugly. It's even from the very first one, it just looks like a tiny broken television on your wrist.
Yep, it's true. I don't kind of mind it because I don't consider myself to put a lot of effort into my fashion. but it's a thing that a lot of people really care about. I'm surprised that I see as many Apple Watches as I do, and people try. You know, they put like a little case around it that makes it shiny or something. You know, but yes, but as far as it being a little baby computer goes, it is time for me to do that. So yeah, I think I'm getting 3 Apple products probably this fall. It's like I hate it though when they all hit at once, like when they're all like the cycles line, because I'm like,
So phone, iPad, and watch all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a big one, especially if you're going to get a big iPad.
Yeah, no, that's gonna hurt. I'm sitting in the same place as I was last big iPad go round. I don't want a big iPad, but the big iPad at this point is just like the one that I'm supposed to have. Like I gig on the thing, I read the scores from the front of the classroom. Like the big iPad is the one for me. I could go Air, but there's like some Pro stuff that I do kind of want. What I'm really holding out for, which I think this is too much of a reach, but I think on the next upgrade cycle, what I really would love, this is like wish list item, is a keyboard that is like some kind of like middle between the old Folio Smart Keyboard and the actual like adjustable angle Magic Keyboard that came out like 5 years ago.
So I'll be honest with you, I have had an iPad Pro, the bigger of whatever the sizes of iPad Pro are, since the first generation of iPad Pro, when there was only the one size and it was the giant one and there was like a Jupiter on the. I've never ever had a keyboard for it, and I don't miss it.
That's so different. I mean, like I do from time to time enjoy using it like a Mac, like a little baby laptop. I think actually too with these new updates to iOS, which I've been using all summer long, if it was just like snappier and not such a drag, I really like this is oh, and also the battery life is like, I mean, it's terrible. Like I'm charging it almost all day long.
Yeah,
but it's really,
you got the 2018 still.
Yeah. It's plugged into a charger a lot, but let me tell you, like this thing is a lot funner to use for like basic computing tasks with the windowing. I see myself lugging this around the house. I basically don't. So like what I do is my routine. I'm very modular with my computers these days. I get home and I usually teach at least one private lesson most weekdays. So I plug in my Mac, I plug in my iPad down on my desk. I have a little like desk setup that I'm sitting at right now. And then I just let them charge overnight. I just leave them down there. And then in my morning routine, I go down and I like scoop them up and put them in my backpack so that they're fully charged, which makes that's usually how I ensure that they're always charged, is I always use them for private teaching. But I could see myself like, I think my point here was that like, I don't really have a computer. Like my iPhone is my computer pretty much every other time I'm outside of like my work or my studio. It's like school, studio. Sometimes I've got the iPad, but really just my phone has become my main computer. And if I need to do work, I go downstairs. I probably should just buy a Studio Mac or a Mac Mini or something if I'm going to keep using it like this.
That's so funny. I have my Mac Studio here, and I've been thinking, maybe when it's time to put this Mac Studio away, I should be a desktop laptop person where I have a really beefy laptop that is like somewhat permanently affixed to my desk, but that I can take with me when I need to.
The thing is that I like being focused on the kind of work I do on a Mac at certain times and at certain places, but I don't really love the idea of like fiddling with my settings on 2 different devices. Like,
right. Exactly.
Updates onto. It's kind of nice to just plug this thing in to the monitor and all the audio interface and just have it be the same computer.
Do you think you would ever be one of the, like, if this ever would happen in the way that there's the Samsung DeX where you can like plug your phone into a display and keyboard and all of a sudden you have this like desktop computer interface that is running from your phone?
So I want this. I definitely want this future. And I think another interesting way of posing that question is like, where does the future maybe, because there's one of the rumors that keeps coming up is like a folding phone that's like an iPhone, but then you unfold to an iPad mini. I would absolutely buy that. I really would. I mean, the iPad mini is like a thing. We have one and I like it a lot for reading stuff on, for watching some videos, but it is like another extra thing to charge and carry around. And I feel like that's the funny thing. It's like, I want less things to charge and carry around, but then every now and then I want extra things. And here's why.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to imagine if all I had was just a phone that I could plug into a monitor and a keyboard. That would be very cool. But like today in band class, I wanted to like pace around the room, and I used the Keynote app on my iPhone to like change the slides from my Mac. Like that's not happening if my iPhone is my only thing, you know, if I just have like a slab of glass.
Right.
I used the iPad. I did it again in a later class today, and then I realized that if you have the iPad set up using Sidecar and you're plugged into a projector, then the iPad gives you your notes, and then the Mac shows you your first and your next slide, and then the projector has the actual presentation on it, and then the phone is the remote. I had like 4 instances of Keynote that were all providing something different. I know that's a little excessive, but I was just like, this is actually kind of cool. Like you need like an actual hardware device to benefit from this.
So I have run into you brought this thing up. I have run into a problem with the betas, and I don't know if it's a beta problem or if this is the new design and I'm just hosed.
Okay.
So with the new iPad OS windowing system, where you can just like have arbitrary windows, right? It messes up my like most common classroom workflow for iPad. So what I used to do is I would use the old split view system to have GoodNotes on the left 2/3 of the screen, and that was my like digital whiteboard, and that was what I would AirPlay to either an Apple TV or a Mac that was plugged into the AV in the classroom. And then on the right third, the like small skinny part of the split screen, I would have my outline, which has for the last few years been in Obsidian. And that was super useful because Obsidian will let you bring in an audio file, and it will just turn it into a little player. And so in my outline, when I get to the point where I, play a musical example in class, I just tap a little play button right there in my outline and it plays. And it was super slick and it worked great because on the AirPlay screen, you could only see the page in GoodNotes. You couldn't see my outline at all in the other app, and you also couldn't see the user interface Chrome of GoodNotes. You just saw the whiteboard itself. But now, if you've got multiple windows up, it seems like the only thing that it will ever do is mirror the entire display.
Okay. Isn't there some API for the what GoodNotes is doing? Like some sort of way. Yeah, like some sort of like private presentation kind of thing where it's like the app is specifying what content is actually projecting. And
maybe that has changed, and maybe they need to update it, and I don't have access to the update because I'm on the beta, and once the thing is public, then they will be able to, write to the new version of the API in the application. Like they can't ship an application to me now unless I'm on the beta, which I don't think I am at the moment for GoodNotes. Then maybe they can't do it. I don't know, man. But it's messing me up right now.
I hope they're looking into that, and that they haven't that Apple has thought this through, because my gut reaction to that is that sounds like the change to the architecture of how the windowing works.
Right.
Because also you can, they've sort of thought through like the ease of like the splitting the window. Like if you have 2 big giant windows, it's like it still gives you that little dividing button in the middle of the two where you can like slide the ratio. I'm kind of sad though that they didn't keep slide over, at least in like instead of having, you know how when you go into the settings, it's like new window mode, stage manager, or just single apps. I kind of think like if we're going to get that granular with how the operating system windows work, they should have left in a single apps with slide over, or like old, multitasking 1.0 or something, like, because I like slide over. It's a little sad that they...
I also used slide over with some frequency. I will also say it was quite common for me to invoke it unintentionally.
Yeah.
Swiping in from the side. But yeah, I get it. So before I started using Obsidian for my lesson outlines, I had them in Ulysses or OneWriter or some other kind of text editor. And then I used a different app that I would pull over and slide over to play back audio. Sometimes it was like Spotify, and sometimes it was Goodreader of all things, the file browser from the old days. Because Goodreader was one of the few file browsers where you could play an audio file from a folder, and you could tell it to not automatically play the next audio file in that folder.
Yep. Yeah, this is the thing, right? And sometimes you need an app for that one reason.
Right.
You just can't let it go. Can we talk about Obsidian for like a minute?
Sure. I don't know if I have. I'm like the least. I'm like the least sophisticated. My Obsidian vault has like almost no interdocument links. It has no sketches. I do not have a use for bases. It's mostly just a folder full of markdown files for me. But hit me with your Obsidian hot takes.
Let me just first say, everyone, welcome to Music Ed Tech Talk, episode 89. Back to the show. Dr. David MacDonald, a.k.a. that McDonald's guy, a.k.a. McAdoo.
I listened to your last episode. That was good.
Are you referenced in that last one?
The last one that was published, where you mentioned the K-pop playlist, and you mentioned that Theo said to thank that McDonald's guy for the music.
Yeah. And then for those who don't know you as Dave McAdoo, I have a friend who's in our Discord, patreon.com/musicadtechtalk, if you would like to support the show. And she doesn't ever interact with the Discord, but one day we're like playing some tabletop. We play tabletop board games together. And she's like, who is Dave McAdoo? And why do they keep spamming the Discord? And I'm like, wait a second. Do you leave notifications on for Discord? For a channel you don't ever interact with or use? And then she told me, yes, she does. So like every time things get heated up chaotic about Obsidian, that's all going there. But I think isn't your like if you don't like read it, like if you just glance over your username, it's something like
it's Dave McDo. Is how I say it in my head. But I could totally imagine why somebody would say Dave McAdoo.
Yeah. So there you go. The many names. I think you were last on here when I very lately covered the finale news. That's not in my outline, but like before we be nerds about Obsidian for a second, like, I mean, you're living in this world and you know, steeped in the knowledge of like the movement and scoring and notation software. Like where does the finale community seem to be at like about a year after that news? Like have people moved on? Are people still just like holding down and using it on old computers?
I think there's a lot of people who are doing everything, all of these different things all at once. There's a lot of people who are still panicked. It's interesting that you bring it up today. Today, as we are talking, do you know this? Today is the last day of support for finale. It officially ended today. This is where we are now exactly 1 year after the announcement. This is the end of support. I believe they are leaving the licensing servers on as long as they can afford to do that, because that was one of the big things that people were concerned about, was like, well, that's great that I can have my copy of Finale, but to license it, it needs to call out to your server. And if I get a new computer, or if something happens and I need to wipe my computer, then I'm going to be pretty hosed if I can't just activate the existing copy of Finale that I already have and paid for. And I get that. But I think there are a lot of people who are probably going to keep using Finale until the wheels fall off, which is totally fine. I know there are a lot of people who have switched to other things and are very happy with their change. And I know a lot of other people who are still very unhappy with the software that they have picked up. I was just reading some frustrated Finale refugees posting in one of the Dorico forums online. And it's just really hard. Like, I get it, man. I get the outrage. I get the frustration. This is the tool that you've built your career on, and all of a sudden it's gone is pretty hard. And frankly, none of the three other options, I'm going to generously include MuseScore as a third option there, are going to do what Finale did for you in the way that Finale did it. And so I think there probably are a lot of people who bounced off of Dorico. Like, they got the message from Make Music that we recommend you go to Dorico. here's a deal, which was still is a fantastic deal. You can still, as far as I know, get it today. I don't think they've announced an end of that deal, but they might have. But, it's really different. And so a lot of Finale people are like, this is stupid. I just want to put in the notes and go home. And Dorico does not want to let you just put in the notes and go home. So, it's pretty tricky. I personally don't have a lot of people in my life who are still struggling with that. Trying to use Finale on a regular basis. My fiance actually was a Finale user and had to jump on the Dorico bandwagon last year. She's finished two or three pieces in Dorico since then, and it has been a struggle at times. She's not a big, new adopter of tech. We don't think about our computers in the same way, but she figured it out, and I think there are a lot of people who are still kind of just getting by. But I don't know. Do you have a lot of Finale users in your immediate social network?
I haven't really talked to any of my colleagues much about this lately. My just personal experience is that a lot of educators were already using the free stuff, and I'll include MuseScore in that, and I'll include things like Noteflight. Like Noteflight is very popular amongst my colleagues. I think people look at these tools and they're thinking a lot of times they just want to make an 8-measure thing that has a short folk melody, and they just want to create it quick and clean and be done with it. And I think a lot of these web tools are really clunky and frustrating for a lot of the reasons that web software is. But I do also think they, to some extent, get out of your way of doing little projects like that maybe a music teacher would be more inclined to make.
I get that. I also get that I should have also probably acknowledged that I am broken in many ways, and I put way too much thought and care into things that frankly I shouldn't. There's not a reason for me to sweat over the spacing details in a handout that I'm going to use once a year for 25 minutes. That's a bad use of my time, but I do it because, if I didn't, the demon dogs in my brain would be very upset with me.
You do it for the demon dogs in your brain.
I do it for the demon dogs.
Yeah, I mean, this is I'm remembering an episode of Scoring Notes y'all did. You've done some Q&As over the years. It's a great podcast and blog for anyone who somehow listens to this show and doesn't know that one exists. You're on there, and you did a Q&A, and I asked a question that I thought it was kind of a silly question, but you all made me feel valid by including it. And it was this question of is there room in the industry for I don't remember how I phrased it, but kind of an iPhoto of scoring software, the prosumer thing, the thing that's not the pro thing, but that you can get some really nice work done in. I think there's not a market for it, but I would love to see something that's not a web app try to do it. I mean, arguably MuseScore is maybe I don't know. I don't think of it as having the same polish as the kind of software I like to put on my computer, but I do think of it as, I don't know. It doesn't really work for my brain, but that's most likely just because I've used other things most of my career. So,
I mean, if you're expecting something with the quality of a native application that you like your think of your favorite native indie application.
Let me give you an example of a native indie application. I've got a couple here on the dock. So, I mean, I'm just looking here OmniGraffle.
Mm-hmm.
I love OmniGraffle. I would love an OmniGraffle is something that I can do things that I used to need to do is use Adobe Illustrator to do.
Right.
But stuff that's not really illustrating, stuff that's just kind of charts and graphs, seating chart. My seating chart, for example, is the kind of thing that just needs some really nice looking shapes with some text in them. And I need a little bit more than PowerPoint, which I know lots of people who make graphical things in PowerPoint. But I don't need Adobe Illustrator. And I think OmniGraffle can be used for much more powerful things than I use it for, but it can also be used for very simple things. And it kind of gets out of your way. It's clean, it's simple, it kind of shares some characteristics with the iWork suite in terms of how sidebars work and how modular little menu items pop in and out. So yeah, that's what I want, is I want the OmniGraffle of music notation.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. The market's not big enough. We're when you think about OmniGraffle, the number of people who need to make something like your seating chart or a workflow diagram or to demonstrate some kind of data analysis or something graphically. There's lots of really clever ways that people use OmniGraffle, and lots of people have a use for a tool that can, let them make a depth chart for their softball team or something. But there's just not that many people that need, traditional 5-line staff classical music notation. And so because of that, like that, the size of that market is why Finale doesn't exist anymore. Like there's not enough people who there aren't enough people in the world who need to do this task that can support more than 2 commercial applications to do it, and 3 if we include a free one in MuseScore. Like it's just not a very large market. And what's interesting is now you're talking about native application development. I love my indie native applications. I have things in my dock and the things widget on all of my devices by Cultured Code. It's if you're not familiar, it's a fantastic little task management to do kind of project management. Not project management is stretching it a little bit, but it's a really lovely little task management app. It's never going to be like that for Dorico and Sibelius and MuseScore. They're all built. Actually, this is a fun fact if you don't know this. They are all built using the same cross-platform user interface framework. They are all built on Qt. Yep. And they're just not going to ever have the same native feel as the apps that Robby and I text each other about on the weekends. Like that's just not going to happen for music notation.
Speaking of cross-platform frameworks, Obsidian is an Electron.
That was
app.
great. That was great.
Yeah.
Put that one in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. No, I mean, this comes back to it, though. Like, Obsidian is a very, very good tool that I use quite a lot. I do feel like the jankiness of it, the way that it just feels a little clunky, does maybe contribute to me using it less than otherwise I would. I mean, for anyone who's missed, as I'll refer people to, I'll put a link in the show notes to an episode where I had Dr. Corey Meals on, and we had an awesome conversation about personal knowledge management apps. And I don't really feel like the core of like what a personal knowledge management app has changed that much, even though these apps that fall into that category have added lots of features over the years. But anyway, if you want to know what that's all about, listen to that episode. 2 of my favorites, Obsidian and Craft. I still use them both. To me, what I always come back to Obsidian for is the daily note feature, because Obsidian is just on the Mac anyway. I find it's a little more fluid to work with than Craft. But on iOS, I feel like because of the cross-platform nature of it, I just don't feel like it's as fun to use on iOS. It takes a really long time for me to load my database. Text is like misaligned and like margins are weird, and I don't know. It's just a little iffy. So I'm currently using the daily note feature in Craft, which is also where I store pretty much anything I want to make that's pretty that I want somebody else to see, like that I want to publish to the web. Which is kind of where I'm at in my Craft usage. Obsidian is great, though. I still use it as a text editor for writing pretty often, and I love to open it up and play with the plugins.
Yeah. I use Obsidian as much as possible, and I get what you're saying that it's clunky, but I don't think it's clunky in a slow way. I think the thing that keeps me there, even though it doesn't always feel very native, is the speed. Like, it's really fast. And in part, that's because it's such a simple concept. It's just a way to edit text files that are in a folder on your computer somewhere. And the sync is rock solid. That's the other thing. I really like Obsidian Sync. It goes really fast. I've never had a problem with it. And I, like you, still have Craft. I got really excited about Craft when Craft was new, and they've gone in and out of my favor over the intervening couple of years. But I still will come back to Craft like you for things that I'm going to show other people to publish on the web. I've stopped. I used to have a subscription to Obsidian Publish, which is kind of a similar kind of thing where you could turn an Obsidian note into a public-facing web page if you want. And I didn't use that enough to really warrant keeping it around. I still do enjoy doing that with Craft sometimes. And the other thing that I do with Craft is I will if there's a person that I need to collaborate on something, and I think there is a chance that I can get them to use Craft in this collaboration instead of Google Docs, I will try to get them into Craft. So I've got a couple of small things that I share with my fiance. So we're getting married in January, so our wedding planning stuff is all in a Craft note, and we bought a house recently, and so all the stuff related to like house stuff is in a Craft note. And that's not the wedding thing we do share with some family members, but the house stuff is just for us. And it's just a nicer way to collaborate than Google Docs. And it's also really nice to, when I'm out in a hardware store or something, or if I'm in the yard or something and I want to add an image, I can take a picture with my phone and put it in a Craft doc, and that works really well too. So we use Craft for not only public facing web page stuff, but also I think the collaboration is it's not quite the same as Google Docs, but I think it's as good, and the way that it just like feels nicer to use kind of gets it over whatever slight weirdness of the real time co-editing stuff that it doesn't have that Google Docs has.
It's nice for all of those reasons. Yeah, I'm always told whenever I share a Craft with someone, "What is this nice Google Doc you've sent me here?"
Yeah. It's gotten a lot nicer too, because you can now. It used to be that you could not share an individual note with somebody that without sharing like a whole. What do they call them? They're not vaults, or some workspace,
like a space.
Workspace. And now you can share an individual note, and I think you can now even share with somebody who doesn't have a Craft account.
That's
and
true.
they can just
you don't need to be logged into anything
without an account, and that's a game changer to compete with Google Docs for collaboration.
Yeah, I will say though, I mean, I think Craft is prettier. I like the design of it a lot. I think it works for my brain pretty well, but I see the beach ball pretty often in Craft.
Yeah.
And this is like one of my coworkers uses it a lot too, and he sees the same thing. But my team, it's not, I think OmniGraffle and Craft are like two of the major wins in terms of like me being a nerd and convincing my music team to go in all on it, because everybody loves OmniGraffle for the seating charts and graphs and things, and then Craft is where we built our whole syllabus, we have like a whole wiki for our music program, and our Canvas page just says click here for everything, and then it takes them to an online Craft published page. Yeah. It's really, really, really helpful. If Obsidian worked that way with the sharing of individual notes, I might be inclined to move a lot of stuff over to it. I continue to check out their Discord and follow where they're at with this. They just really don't seem interested in going that direction with it, but a lot of people I think would respond positively.
Yeah, I think it's hard just because of their data model, where it's files on your computer that get synced, as opposed to Craft and things like that, where the truth is in the cloud, like Notion, the truth is in the cloud. But for Obsidian, the truth is a folder of text files on your computer. And so that's pretty different. I also think it's just a little bit nerdier than Craft. In some ways, it's a lot nerdier. Like if you drag an image into your Craft document, there you go. You got an image in your Craft document. But if you drag an image into your Obsidian document, then you've got a file that moved into the folder that's linked with a weird looking attachment syntax, and you can organize it somewhere, or you can just leave it floating in the folder. It's like weird things happen when that are very explicable if you're a nerd and you know how files work. But if you're not a nerd and you don't know how files work, which is weird to say that you have to be a nerd to know how files work, but I think you do now.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's just too much of the guts of Obsidian that are exposed to work with a lot of my sharing circumstances that I encounter most frequently.
So I might not share it with other people in the way that I do, like say the notes. Like sometimes when I meet with someone who's unfamiliar I have a guest on who's unfamiliar with the show, who's, never done it before, I'll give them a Craft thing. I might continue to do that, but I'm saying things like my music program's wiki page that I think a good looking one could be made. Actually, we could probably use Obsidian in the way that it wants to be used and have our wiki. The problem is that then the seams would start to show if you wanted to do stuff like have a note that's not in the wiki, but that's like linked that you have access to, but maybe the person looking at the web version of it doesn't. Like, here's an example. We have in Craft a sectional schedule that's in our band wiki, but in the sectional schedule, where the dates are of like each day of the week over top the column of like which periods and which groups are being pulled. I don't just type in the date like September 3rd. I use like the @ symbol and then say September 3rd, which makes that clicking that link to that daily note inside of Craft, which is something that only I can see. And that's a pretty useful tool, especially when I also have like inside of each sectional group note is the name of each kid. And the teachers in our building can see if they hover with their mouse over like, oh, flute sectional, period 2, Mr. Burns, they can see those kids' names. But when I click on one of those kids' names, I have a note where I'm just taking notes on them and their progress. And I can share that note with them, like what their assignments are, some written feedback for them. So there's like layers to it where I feel like Obsidian's, if you just wanted to make an informational bucket of interconnected files, it might work.
Yeah, it might work. I've experimented with. I wouldn't say that So I teach music composition at Wichita State University, and we have a kind of a studio handbook page kind of thing, and it has been a Craft document with a bunch of sub things before. It has been a few different things. It is currently a GitHub Pages website that I do in Markdown, and it could maybe come into Obsidian, but the way it's working right now is fine, and I'm not super inclined to change it. It is not as pretty as a Craft doc would be, and I'm the only one that can edit it because you need to like do a git commit to update the web page, which nobody else in my department is likely going to be prepared to do. But it works pretty well for what I'm doing. It's probably a lot closer to what I would get if I did an Obsidian Publish web page with interlinked pages. Craft is definitely nicer and prettier for sure, and works I think much better for the use case that you're describing.
So the reason that I brought this up and that I'm thinking about it is that they announced a new feature called Bases that is now out to the public. By the way, Obsidian is in Craft, but Obsidian if you don't use the publish thing, it's completely free. So anyone who's like, I might want to dip my toes in this and see what it's about, completely free. As is this new feature called Bases, which I've done some reading since we were chatting about this. So is this kind of like databasey stuff? Is this like Airtable or Notion or okay?
Yeah. My understanding is that you can basically make a table of your individual notes, and it's looking at the metadata of those notes that it's going to display in the table. So if you're not currently using a lot of metadata in your notes, and I'm using some but not a lot because it's
like what kind of metadata, like tags?
Tags, really, just tags. You could have other metadata, but mine are just tags. So like, for example, I have a tag for meeting notes. So when I'm in a meeting, I will take notes in Obsidian. Sometimes the main reason I take notes in meetings is so that I continue to pay attention to the meeting, not so that I am actually going to like refer to these notes later. But there might be something that I need to like, remind myself to do. And for some reason, I don't need to put it immediately into things. I need to make a note in Obsidian and then process that into a things task that'll make sense later. But I have a tag for emails. So like if I've got an email that I send a version of pretty frequently, like a welcome new graduate students email that I send every year, and that has a lot of information, and I want to make sure that I get it all right. That is an email that I have saved in Obsidian with the tag email, and with the also with the tag grad coordinator, because that's the role that I have that means that I need to send that email. So those kinds of things. But I don't know if that's the thing that I would use for bases. I suppose if I was going to use bases, I would probably start a new vault that was specifically designed to use bases in. So I do use Airtable for some things, and I like Airtable for keeping track of students in my program and keeping track of where they're at and who their advisor is and what their degree plan is and what their emphasis is in a way that's like pretty tedious for me to figure out going through the university registrar's system. So I keep that in an Airtable database. That sort of thing I could maybe do in an Obsidian base, but I think it's just not the best tool for the job. And I think this is a problem that Obsidian has across the board. Everybody wants to turn Obsidian into some tool to do something really specific, but at the bottom level, it's just a file full of markdown folders. And the more things that you bolt onto it, the more fragile it becomes and the more cumbersome it becomes. And I just think there's a lot of people who've spent a lot of time kind of just playing with Obsidian. And that's fine. That's fun. Like, I like playing with Obsidian. But some of the things that people have gotten it to do are useful in the way that, like, playing Doom on your Apple Watch is useful. And by that I mean it's a fun project to get it going, but it's probably not the best way to play Doom. Like, I don't think that using Obsidian as a database system is probably the best way to use Obsidian, and there's probably better, just like there are better computers to play Doom on, there are probably better ways to do a database.
Playing Doom on your Apple Watch is absolutely the right. I've been searching for that for years, but yeah, it's like, because I a couple years back made a monumental switch away from a lot of the like really powerful Pro Tools for notes and tasks into the more simple ones. So like the major moves where I went from OmniFocus to Things.
Avid Pro Tools.
Oh, I haven't used Pro Tools in ages. I've almost always. I mean, I learned it first and then quickly switched to Logic, where I've been very happy for well over 15 years. But I mean, like the other Pro Tools, like OmniFocus is like the task manager that does. It's like so customizable. And actually, I think OmniFocus is really great. I've a couple times since I switched to Things 2 or 3 years ago, tried to come back to OmniFocus just to see what it's about. And the widget, like something will be immediately broken. And it'll be like the widget won't show any data, and I'll like do quite a lot of digging and find that other people have this problem, and then it'll be something like your database is too big, you need to like clean it or archive it, and I'm like, I'm just really sorry to say, but like I would never have to do this with Apple Reminders or Things, right? Cultured Code, like this would never be a thing. So
I bailed on OmniFocus after some bad weeks or 3 of sync. Like really, syncing has been an issue for me. The Watch app, they're very. I like that they're very transparent about I like the vibe of that team and like how they communicate what they're doing. I like what they're making, but I think it is a pretty serious, hefty app, and there's a lot of times where it's like you can fiddle with it and get it to like 95% of what you want, or you can use some simple sane thing that's like 90% of what you want, but then you're living a peaceful life. But it's nice.
And it's nice.
It feels good. I've never felt good using OmniFocus.
Things for me, it's the major push, and this goes for Obsidian because I moved from Obsidian to Apple Notes a few years back too. The main push is just like how nice it is on mobile. Like these are good mobile apps, and I always feel great using these power things on the Mac, and then really bad on like my iPhone. And like I said, my iPhone has been one of my primary computers over the past couple of years. It's like if I'm not in my basement or at one of my classrooms, I'm not using the Mac. I'm using my iPhone. And Things is so responsive. The widgets are always refreshed. I tap it, it opens. It takes 2 seconds to sync if it's not already synced. I can like the reordering tasks is like butter. Like reordering tasks in the app Things is like the smoothest drag to reorder a list. If they're doing some kind of custom thing, it's not the Apple list view, which like Apple gives developers, you can, that's why so many apps just have the same looking list of items. I mean, like it's something else they're doing. It also has a functioning Watch app. Like,
oh, I haven't played around with the Watch app. Is it good?
Oh, it's nice. Yeah, it's really good. I have it in the upper corner of my one of my watch. It's like in the upper right corner, and then I actually have a watch face that's we got
to come back to watch stuff in a little bit.
All right, we can. This is going to turn into like just all Apple nerd stuff because it's been so long. I would like to, though, just tell you that I've skipped over several. So there are segments. This show has evolved. Since
it has segments.
Segments.
Okay.
Yeah, there's segments. The intro I did. I'm supposed to thank any Patreon supporters. There are no new ones, but you, listener, could be my next Patreon supporter. Patreon.com/musicandtechtalk. There's news and mini topics. We'll count Obsidian as that. There is, in the last episode, Will put out there, should there be like an Ask Music Ed Tech Talk segment or like a question box segment? It's yet to be determined what the name of this segment is. But I have a question that I thought we could do.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to watch stuff in a second. But I have, so the new segments is Ask Music Ed Tech Talk, What's New in AI, Automation Station.
Automation Station, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then a big topic. So let me just real quick here ask you this question. Now, there was a couple, I got submitted by someone, a really heavy one. I'm going to save it for a later episode because it was like very existential in terms of its like breadth and implication for the teaching world. So it's like worthy of a big topic. So I wanted to ask you, what are the best resources for learning software methodically with videos these days? I used to use Lynda, and then they were bought by LinkedIn. And then I find that like is it still called LinkedIn Learning? I've just found
it's LinkedIn Learning, yeah,
difficult to use, and they took down so much of the great content that I really liked. Like they just like really wrecked it. And I'm just wondering, like from your perspective, do you have any sites you can recommend? Like, what would you today recommend to someone who's like, I do want to learn Pro Tools or Sibelius, and I just need like a sequence that's a video series that's going to take me through like everything in a logical order, like not miss any stuff, or just be like a short YouTube that gets to one feature or one solved problem. You know what I mean?
That's a really good question. So it really depends on what it is. So there are, if you look in the Lynda/LinkedIn Learning archives, you will find that there are courses on Pro Tools and Sibelius even in the LinkedIn Learning archives. I don't know if those are still up. My university does give me an LinkedIn Learning subscription. I haven't looked at it in a very long time, so it's been a couple of years. That used to be one of the places that I would go for really nerdy stuff, like programming stuff. Like if I needed to write like a Python script or something, I would look at some LinkedIn Learning tutorials. I will say for me today, the two places... Let's see. I guess I would start with what is the thing that I'm trying to learn about. If it's a media music thing or a media thing generally, like a digital audio workstation or a video editing suite or something like that, I would start by going to YouTube. And I think that's the same thing that most of my students would do. But there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Many of the publishers of this software have really good YouTube tutorials, and even if they don't, a lot of times they will support either officially or unofficially the independent creators who are making tutorials for their applications. So there's a big tutorial series, or a big YouTube creator who was doing a bunch of Cubase content, and I think Steinberg eventually just hired him, or like hired it at least either full time or as a contractor to continue making Cubase stuff, and it's really good. There's another guy who makes a ton of really good Reaper tutorials, the digital audio workstation Reaper, which a lot of my students really like to use because it is free to get started in Reaper. The other place that I would go for that kind of thing, and unfortunately it seems to also be a little bit dead these days, is Ask Video or Mac Pro Video. There's basically the same library under two different names. Are you familiar with Ask Video?
Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time there, but I'm aware that it's known for this.
Yeah, so they used to like really focus on like music and media and film and animation and those kind, like digital design tools. Like those are the kinds of things that you would find on Mac Pro Video. And they have some really good stuff. I've used them. Maybe it's been a couple of years since the last time that I bought a course from them. And they have a subscription that's like pretty reasonably priced. I think one of the reasons why it's so reasonably priced is they don't have that much recent stuff. But some of the older stuff I think is still totally valid, and you can find stuff there. But there are a lot of independent creators who have kind of set up a video course, and it's hard to know if the video courses are good just from reading descriptions on their web pages. But there are a lot of people who have these like independent video courses in how to score to picture in Cubase, or how to write video game music using FMod Studio and Unreal Engine 5. Like those are courses that you can buy. The downside is because they're independent creators and they're big video things, it's not like you're subscribing for 10 or 15 bucks a month to a huge library. You have to buy a course, and a lot of times it's $150, $250 for the course, which is a lot. So that's one downside. I will say a lot of times those people try to drive traffic to those courses by offering some kind of fundamentals sort of content, or the first chunk of a lot of those courses, for free on YouTube. So there's a lot of really good stuff on YouTube, and I think there's a market for this stuff. I don't think there is like a single source though, the way, kind of Lynda used to be. Like if you want to learn how to do a thing with your computer, you don't even start by searching Google. Start by going to lynda.com and search Lynda. So I don't know. What do you do when you want to learn something?
I mean, the reason I ask this is because, I mean, it is a lot of YouTube searching, but I feel like there's a big difference between me knowing fundamentals of Logic Pro, because I have some vocabulary built up, so I know what to type into YouTube much better than someone who maybe doesn't even know how to create a new file. So that was the thing with Lynda, is I felt like they gave you the exercise files, they were in a certain sequence and order.
If you put tutorial in your search, you'll find a lot of that stuff that'll get you started enough to know how to ask a better question for the next level of stuff. Like for example, I'm currently teaching a course in music composition for film and games. This is the second time I've taught the course. We don't have a computer lab at the Witch Trust. Well, we kind of do, but it doesn't have a lot of software in it. It doesn't have a lot of useful software for this kind of project in it. Students have to bring their own laptops, and that means they have to bring their own digital audio workstations. And so some people, I just took a survey this morning in class. I have, I think, 3 people that are using Pro Tools. I have 4 people that are using Logic, and I have 7 people that are using Reaper, and I have 1 person that's using Studio One, the PreSonus DAW. And so I have to be prepared to help them out with these projects that we're doing in film composition in whatever those things are. And I try to start by giving them some links to some kind of fundamentals related stuff. I talk about the concepts of digital audio. I gave a lesson today about how we use these terms in digital audio. So when you read a tutorial or watch a tutorial that deals with these things, these are some of the things you should be looking for how to do in your software. But then I just do my own searches. If I find a pretty good tutorial, I'll send them a link. I'll post a link on our course GitHub webpage. But I mean, most of the time, there's not a lot more that I can do for them. And they have to be pretty independent. And I think students, some more than others, tend to be prepared to do that kind of thing in a class like this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these are outlier students in that regard. But I think they're prepared to look for YouTube tutorials when they run into a problem. I don't know. What sorts of things are you trying to learn about, Robby?
Well, the thing I liked about what I'll say about Lynda too, old Lynda, and maybe I just don't understand LinkedIn Learning. I mean, you can, first of all, I'll say you can still to this day, at least my library lets you get LinkedIn Learning.
Your public library.
Your public library, right? So my library card credentials, I type into LinkedIn Learning, and the video content is all free. So I mean, it is still there. So it's a lot harder to navigate. I think they have removed a lot of content, which is why I'm sad. But
they used to license a lot of stuff, which was some of their best stuff. I thought was licensed from other courses.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess what was in the early days of Lynda, what was really great about the service was it wasn't just I can learn Logic. There would be a course on how to use Contact 5, the plugin, and then sometimes there would be even a course, several hour-long videos on how to use a very specific plugin for Contact, just a software instrument that has a funky UI, and where else other than the manual are you going to get a good explanation of how that works with your digital audio workstation. Another example, I learned Aperture and Photoshop in Lynda, but then I got a DSLR camera. they had a course for the user interface of my exact model Canon camera for a while in there that I can't find anymore. Maybe it's just because it's not a camera they sell anymore. But like I found that. And then I was like, whoa, can I go deeper? I don't even really know what I'm doing with this camera. There was a class in exposure. Like you could take a class that was just like the beginning of it is like, here's the first camera. It's got a pinhole in it. And I'm just like watching this and I'm learning so much more about my camera through understanding the concepts like this, things like, all of a sudden that like all the software becomes immediately more accessible to me because I understand like what all the buttons and knobs do. So like this is same for audio too. Like there was like a reverb class in there. There was like a microphone class, all sorts of stuff. So I just think there's like room for this. I agree with you too that there's lots of great premium content. I wish there was like a better aggregate for it. For people, because like I know in my corner of the universe who I like who makes video content, but I think like I don't know, it just seems like you have to kind of get word of mouth plugged into what's good with it when it comes to that. Like I'll give a shout out here. Like I think have you ever bought a David Sparks video course?
Yeah.
That's someone I can vouch for. If anyone has ever been listening to this podcast and thought the productivity stuff sounds interesting, like what you're doing with Obsidian and Apple Notes and stuff, he's got a lot of really great video courses that are often on sale that are for things like task management, note-taking, databases, like, just like all sorts of productivity stuff that I think is really cool. And I bought a couple of his classes over the years.
I've been curious about his focus class that I have not bought.
I have not bought it either.
Appropriately been procrastinating on it.
Do you know what how I give David Sparks money these days? I haven't bought anything of his in quite a while, but I do have his focused calendar.
Oh, nice.
I buy that every year. I like that. I like having like what I write on it. I have kind of like a color-coded system of what I write on it, but basically the whole point of it is like I only write calendar stuff on it that's like out of the basic routine in a way that like breaks the week. So like these days, for me, with two kids, like a busy private teaching schedule, and then the music job with all the concerts, like a gig is a break. Like if it's the holidays, I'll do a couple like Christmas gigs most years, and like the weeks where I have a gig, that goes in red on the day because it will really wrecks the week. So I try to have it show me like at a like helicopter view where are the heavy points of the year.
Right.
It's kind of nice, too, because when I'm scheduling with if I have to do makeups and stuff, if a parent is down here for, like, private lessons, they can sometimes reference it. They have a nice calendar there and like, oh, yeah, we need to reschedule on that Tuesday and that one right there. And so.
All right.
Focus calendar. Yeah.
I'll say there are a few aggregating sites for selling individual courses, but it's, in my experience, pretty hit or miss on the quality of those courses. If you have seen Udemy, with Udemy, they're very hit or miss. I have gotten some really good courses and some really kind of not great courses from Udemy. And they go on sale a lot though. If you wait and you're patient, you can probably get a course for like $15 or $20 that's normally like $80. And there's other things like that. I can't remember the other one that I've used before. No, it's escaping me. Sorry. But there's a bunch of things that Domestika or something like that. Domestika, is another one, that has just a bunch of different courses, and it's kind of a platform. It's like Etsy for, independent course creators. So anybody can make a course and put it up there basically, which means that they're not all good. But the ones that are good. And there's at least a central place where you can go and search in a search box through a lot of different courses on a lot of different things. Like I bought courses on like sketching, like with pencil and paper, in some of these places. And I've bought courses in developing real-time JavaScript web apps using Vue.js and Google Firebase. Like there's a bunch of things like that in there too. So,
that's awesome.
It's a bunch of stuff like that. And it's just a very buyer beware kind of circumstance.
Right. Okay. That was a good answer to that question. I'm glad I got that one in there. Yeah. All right. Can we do Automation Station first? Because I think it's shorter. I think AI is the
It needs a
heaviest thing in
jingle.
the outline.
Can you use your Logic chops that you got from your Logic course on lynda.com to make an Automation Station jingle?
I could do one. I thought that they all need jingles. I used to, whenever there is like an ad, there's a little blip that I edit in. Maybe okay. Jay from the New York desk, let's talk about this. Editing some jingles. I would love to make some jingles. I'm serious. I'm on it.
Just a little audio logo. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like conjunction junction. Like Automation Station really needs conjunction junction.
Yeah. No, you're right. I feel like it does need vocals. It really does. This is short today. I actually, I just wanted to share a shortcut I've been tweaking lately and ask if you have any fun automations. I have a shortcut. So like, I'm like really refining my routines, my like right before and right after school routines this year. Mm-hmm. I got a shortcut that's kind of like a getting out of the door shortcut. And it does some cool stuff with things that I have made smart in the house.
Okay.
So like we have a smart garage door opener.
Okay.
And my car now has an action to unlock it and start it with a shortcut step, which is cool. And
I want to know more about that.
I can elaborate, but hold on, it gets better. So like my coffee mug is smart, and I typically like just have this sequence of things I do. So basically I made a shortcut and it reads me some text. It says, "Don't forget your water bottle, lunch, or fork." It says it out loud. The voice says that out loud when I push the button. I usually push it like right 5 minutes before I'm about to walk out the door, 5-10 minutes. And then it reads me the weather forecast. And then it unlocks the car, opens the garage door I'm going to drive out. And then it starts the podcast that I want to listen to in the car ride, which is typically the most recent one I was listening to inside of the app Overcast. But then, because my mug will log my caffeine for me, and I'm usually at this point in the day filling the mug, the last step will open the Ember app so that I can push the button that gives me the preset that I want for my coffee mug.
That's pretty good.
It's a pretty good one, right? I feel really good when it's like I hit it and then I'm like, yeah, my coffee is logged. And then I like walk to the door and I'm like, yeah, my car is on. And then I'm like, yeah, my garage door is open. It's like a real pew, 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 pew. And then when I get in the car, it's like it also takes me to work. It does, and in my mapping application, it starts getting work directions. So then I've got my podcast in the car. That's how I feed the dog demons.
Okay. How often does this break? It just feels like, having made things that talk to other things before, that feels fragile to me.
Okay, so the thing, what I thought would be really first of all, what bothers me is like sometimes my shortcuts will stop in the middle if one step gets stuck, and that really bugs me. I wish there was some sort of way I could say like, hey, I actually just really want this all to happen all at once. I only sequence it because you make me sequence it. So what I'll typically do is try to find out by process of elimination which step is causing the problem, and then I'll put that step last so that if anything's going to break, it's going to be that step. It's usually HomeKit, because HomeKit's like awful. Even though HomeKit is enabling this very cool thing I just said, it's also like, come on, like such a disappointment. So I have, but also like if you want your phone to do a bunch of stuff, I also need the opening of the app to be one of the last steps that occurs.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I totally should tell you this too. My wake up shortcut, which happens before the I'm walking out the door shortcut, can run when my Apple Watch detects that I am awake by movement. It'll be like, are you awake? You're moving. And then I tap a button and then the shortcut goes off. And that shortcut, in addition to like turning on the lights in the house and opening the blinds and like, what else does it do? It like, it does a couple of other things. But one of the steps it does is our new gooseneck kettle has shortcuts integration. So my water is hot by the time I get downstairs. Yeah. So I can just like pour it. I don't have to like wait for it to heat up. Very cool.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's pretty
I need
nice.
to know more about your gooseneck, your smart gooseneck kettle. Is it in HomeKit, or are you doing some kind of your funny business to get it into.
I'm not doing funny business. It like natively integrates.
Like
with
it's not.
Now,
it's not like Home Assistant or any of these kinds of things. Okay.
No, it just works with it. So it does have that short. It doesn't do the nice thing where like the Shortcuts app will expose to you the actions. It has one of these like custom
where you have
things.
Yeah,
like the Tonal Energy app, for those who use it, you can like do a thing where it's like, I want a shortcut that sets a B-flat tuning drone or a metronome at 100 beats per minute, but you can't get it in the Shortcuts app. You got to make it from inside the Tonal Energy app. So that's how the Smart Kettle works. Is you got to go into this thing and it's like make an automation and blah blah blah, and then there's like a little add to shortcuts button inside of there.
Okay.
So you and then that makes it into its own shortcut, and then you just like what you do is inside of my Good Morning shortcut, I have like a step that's run another shortcut inside of the shortcut.
Yeah. Okay. I might need that because I don't use a kettle in the morning, but I do use a kettle in the evening to make a tea, a sleepy time tea, and that would be very, very compelling to me.
So the thing I will say is these gooseneck kettles are always after like 5 or 6 years breaking on us,
right?
And this one was like the least offensive looking and feeling, and it had some smart stuff, and I was like, I'm generally iffy about smart stuff in my kitchen appliances. But it was
I've got
also
one that
like
I really like. I don't know.
Yeah. No, well, it was also those cheapest, and I was like, all right, this is the one, like, we know that this is probably not going to last us longer than 5 years, so let's just get the cheap one. It does have some smarts. I'm kind of excited to play with that. And then it came, and I honestly, I kind of like it. It's pretty good.
All right.
Govee. G-O-V-E.
Oh, Govee. Yeah. They have the cheap smart home everything.
Do they? What else do they make?
Light bulbs.
I'd buy more
and
of that stuff.
Light switches and smart plugs. Okay.
I use other companies for those things, so maybe I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with this.
So you can make a shortcut that starts your car's climate control. I assume you're just starting the climate control in your car.
Yeah, it's got like an unlock and a. I'm using my phone as the video camera for this call, so I can't open it up. But like basically, those are the only two actions it has. So
I don't think my car app has any shortcuts. It's kind of bad. I love my car. I hate the car app.
When we bought our current car, this was like a thing that I researched heavily. Like I installed car apps on my phone just to see what actions they would donate to the Shortcuts app, and this weighed in on my decision.
Wow.
Oddly, Ford had none at the time and still won. But that's, I mean, I'll just put this out there. Like, I know a lot of people have big feelings about Tesla, but like that has like really good shortcut support. Their app, I think the Rivian app is decent too. Like, it's funny how like the really proprietary ones, the ones that don't support CarPlay and Android Auto, which is, you would think that would be like the big feature if you want to experience your iPhone in your car. But these two, like, companies that don't do CarPlay also like integrate really, really well with like other system level stuff. So I always find that pretty interesting. I mean, I'm not really sure like if I would need ever use like a shortcut action that like put my car into dog mode, but
right?
Maybe someone else out there is exactly thinking in the way that I am, and they have dog demons in their brain, but they have a dog that they want to leave in their car when they get groceries.
So I am shocked to learn as I open the Shortcuts app and search for the make of my car that I have exactly one thing that I can do from a shortcut, and that is simply to refresh the vehicle status in the widget for this app.
Okay.
So I can see like what the battery level is basically, which is really stupid. I know that there are like third party, frankly, that strike me as a little bit weird apps that I can use instead of the first party phone app that can do more of these things. So I don't know, maybe I should get over it and check those out. But I feel a little bit weird about installing a thing from a GitHub repo that controls one of the most costly products that I have.
I have done some funny stuff with my car. There are some tools you can use to trick it to be in HomeKit. It was really unreliable. There was also someone who had written like a script that you could install. Like basically, you could there's this cool app on iOS called Scriptable, where you can like
Yeah.
use JavaScript to program widgets if you're savvy. I'm not, but there was somebody who like wrote a Ford Pass widget that would like show your car and then like show your battery and like how many miles were left. Like they basically you would like use the Ford API to get a widget in Scriptable. But then like Ford crushed that. But now they're actually like, I think they realize people want this stuff, so they've been adding shortcuts. They've been adding them. Like it now has a widget. I can see my battery on my home screen. There's other stuff I wish it could do though. Like I'd love to be able to have some buttons on the widget. But they have control center support, so I have my car unlock in my control center, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I've seen things like this for my car. It's probably actually the same one that that you're describing that works in Scriptable to control my car. I'm a little afraid of doing that. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but maybe I should get over it and just give it a shot.
Yeah, Ford crushed it. There is actually a Discord for like Homebridge users, which yeah, and there is like a channel for every plugin, and the channel was pretty active when Ford shut down the API several years ago, and then it was like really quiet. So I don't know, people may have just given up on it. I think the idea is fun of having stuff in HomeKit, but the only reason I ever wanted my car in HomeKit was because it's easier to automate things that appear as HomeKit devices. Like if you give me the shortcuts I want, I don't really care. All right. Yeah. That's Automation Station. Unless you got more.
No, that's all I got. I'm definitely going to check out more ways to automate my Kia from shortcuts though. You've inspired me.
I'm excited for that journey. All right. I think this can serve as both Automation Station, and then maybe we'll use the last little bullet point here as like possibly like a big-ish or maybe an important topic. But before we get to the biggest of the three, I think it's interesting that we're seeing some news that Siri might use a third-party AI model for like future versions of. Do you care about that? I don't know. I don't see as much. I'm surprised I don't see as many people sad about the privacy concerns. I assume like it would be some sort of like cloud compute, like private model where like basically the model would be given to Apple. It would run on device. It would probably not go to any servers anywhere. But basically all it would be doing is like doing the language processing that connects the different bits, but then the actual like input from your voice and then the actual actions your phone would take would still be Apple technologies.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding. And this is one of those things we were talking about a little bit before the call about how I'm prepared. This is one of those things where I'm not prepared to get all riled up about something that doesn't exist. Right. If it's going to happen, there will be a big splashy announcement about it, I'm sure, and I will learn all about it, and I will read all of the commentariat on their many opinions on the privacy implications of sending all of your requests and all of your user data to OpenAI or Anthropic or Perplexity or Google, and everybody's going to have their feelings about it. I'm going to wait to have strong feelings about it until it's real. Certainly, from what I have experienced so far, Siri is still terrible, and it doesn't. And maybe they've made some significant changes. They seem to have, behind the scenes, made a lot of significant changes about how the Siri team is structured and who's running it, and a lot of other things related to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to figure it out. I know they've lost a lot of their big AI researchers to other companies, and those are the people who are the ones who are doing the real irreplaceable work for these kinds of teams. And if all of the best researchers are at OpenAI and Anthropic, then maybe that's the best way to do this thing. And I totally agree with you. I get that there's a lot of privacy that's lost here, and I think Apple might be willing to just eat that to be closer to the cutting edge. I mean, they're not cutting edge. They're never going to be cutting edge, but they definitely are about as far away from it as they can be on this particular thing right now. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would probably, for the things that I use Siri for, probably trust it. But maybe if it was good, I'd use it a lot more, and then I should feel differently about it. I frankly just don't use Siri that much anymore because it's so bad and unreliable.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same for me. I would get excited by a Siri that works, and if this is what makes it work, that's great. Already, I sometimes use Siri in the car, and it like triggers ChatGPT and is occasionally like useful in a way that Siri is not useful, even though Siri doesn't like really have a good idea like when it should or should not trigger ChatGPT. That's a whole other conversation. But
in my experience, Siri doesn't even have a great sense of when it should trigger, period. Like the number of false positives that I get from Siri in the many devices that can respond to it blows my mind. And I do have so they introduced by default, oddly, the ability to drop the word hey from the hail phrase, so you can just say Siri and not hey in front of the assistant's name. And I turned that off because I was getting way too many false positives. It's off on all of my devices, on all of my HomePods around the house, and I still get false positives every day. It's bad.
That's crazy. Also, just with regards to that feature, it's so funny. I always say the hey on everything because a while back they made the watch not even require a phrase at all. You just start talking to it. And I was getting so confused about which things I had to say hey or just hey Siri or nothing at all that I just say the whole phrase to everything. Sorry if I just triggered your devices by saying that phrase, y'all. So we'll see. It's interesting. It's heating up a little bit, but it also, Siri has been bad for so long that at this point I'm prepared for it to just be terrible forever.
The thing that I would be excited about is some AI thing from OpenAI or Anthropic that lives, especially, I feel like my Mac is where I actually want this the most because my Mac has the ability to do the most stuff, right? And I've been looking for a little while for some kind of AI system that can like control Fantastical or even just regular Apple Calendar or something on my Mac, or that I can give API credentials to my Google Calendar. It wouldn't be great for my Outlook calendar for work because I'm pretty sure there's not an easy way for me to hand over keys for those calendars, for my work calendars. But the thing that I have been wanting to do is let an AI read some documentation and figure out what kind of the overall schedule for my semester is and put that into my calendar. So for many years, one of the first things I do when I finally break down and decide that it's time to start preparing for the semester and that I can't pretend that it's not going to be summer forever anymore is I will get out my calendar app and I will put in a start of each week, just what week number it is, so that when I open my calendar and look at it, I can see that we're in, week 7, and in my head, I know that week 8 is midterms week, and so that helps me just orient myself in the semester when I'm looking at my calendar, when I'm planning events, when I'm scheduling exams, whatever I'm doing. It really helps me to be able to see where in the semester I am. That's not a thing that I need to be able to do. And just because of the way calendars work, that's not even a recurring event because each one of them has a different name, right? So I have to manually enter W1, W2, W3, all the way up to W15 or 16, and then exams week. This is silly. Like, this is not a thing that I feel like requires human level intelligence to do. This is definitely something that an AI can do. And similarly, the academic calendar. My university has a web page with a PDF file that I can download, and it says, here's the start of the classes for this semester. Here's the last day of classes for the semester. Here's the last day to add classes. Here's the last day to drop without a penalty. Here's the last day to withdraw with a W. Like, all that stuff, I have to look it up a couple of times a week. I would love for that just to be another calendar that I can view in Fantastical. And I would love to be able to just point an AI to this webpage and say, take all of these events and put them in my calendar as all-day events that I can just look at anytime I need to. Similarly, I get an email from our department administrative assistant saying, here's all the events for the semester. It has faculty meetings, it has committee meetings, it has concerts, it has dress rehearsals, it has middle school band day visits, it has recruiting events, it has audition days, It has scholarship deadlines, all kinds of stuff. I want all that stuff from that email to be turned into a calendar so that I don't have to like dig up this email that I got one time in August when it's, February and I want to know when our audition days are. I just wish that stuff could be turned into a calendar by an AI, and that thing seems like something that would best work on a Mac to me, because that's where all my data is, and that's where I'm using these things. I'm doing these things manually right now.
I mean, this seems to be what everyone is working towards. It's taking a long time. It seems like it's always going to be tomorrow when our computers can do this kind of stuff with AI. I'll believe it when I see it, but I mean, this is the one and only thing that I'm actually jazzed about generative language learning models, all these waves of AI, things we call AI, coming out over the past few years. Like, this is what I want it to really be able to do for me. We'll see. I mean, I something I've said on here a couple times, so sorry to be repeating myself, but like one great example, I feel like calorie counting and like health is the thing I always use, is like, here's how I can describe a good technology in my life, not by relating it to the profession, but just health and food and nutrition. So like, these like chatbots can do a pretty good job of like estimating stuff. If you're like, I just ate like a handful of nuts and 2 pounds of salmon or whatever, like they can handle that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I know that like my phone has APIs for like logging this in the Apple Health app, and if I'm a person who's like doing that thing, which I go through waves where I'm like counting a lot of health stuff, like that would be kind of cool if you could just like put it there. But like, I think because of the way ChatGPT is designed, I don't think it has access to that kind of stuff. I think they would be happy to like access your calendar and your reminders and all that stuff. I don't know. It seems like that's where this whole Siri thing wants to go, is because Siri does have a connection to the bits that can, control your phone, and that would be kind of interesting and compelling. So,
yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for that kind of thing, or like there's certain kinds of forms that I need to fill out, or emails that I need to send, requests that I need to make in a very specific format, that I feel like I should be able to tell an AI, hey, look, I want to go to the Society for Music Theory conference this semester. I need you to figure out about how much a plane ticket is going to cost for me round trip between these 2 days, and how much the hotel for the conference is going to cost total. Put all of that into a proposal document that I can send to my chair and ask for funding to attend this conference. Like, that's the sort of thing that I spend an hour and a half on, trying to figure all the things out that needs to go into a budget request for that kind of thing. That's all like available information. This is readily available information. I just need it collated and formatted in a certain way. And if I had a trustworthy human assistant that I feel like I could ask that person to do, and that they could do relatively reliably.
Totally. I'm there with you. I'm hoping this is where things go. It definitely seems like it's where everybody's working towards, so I'm somewhat optimistic, maybe cautious.
I mean, I'd rather have that than like limericks about Taylor
right.
Swift and her football friend getting engaged.
Right. I mean, for sure. Yeah.
Which is, and you know what? I'm happy for them.
Do you have the outline that I
can't open the Apple Note, but I do have a screenshot you sent me a couple of days ago, and I see that you are the kind of person who has the number on your battery percentage.
Oh, is that a thing that you want to talk about?
We don't have to talk about it, but I do think it's
you're just like a live your
precious. life,
like have good vibes.
Yeah,
live your
like
life.
it's
like,
got you can see the image, dude. It's right there in the picture. You can see like about like does it change your life in a meaningful way to know that you have 86% battery compared to 83% battery?
The
number just gives me anxiety. That's the same kind of energy as having email notifications on, which I know you don't.
I don't. I think there's a big difference, not between like 86 and 80, but there is a big difference between 18 and 10. Like,
well, at 10 it turns red.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so you're telling me I should just use the color and I do. Does my phone have the pixel count that it can actually differentiate? Like that.
I have no idea how fine the gradations are for that.
Well, I'll consider. Maybe I'll live with it without the number on the real question I would expect someone to judge me on is like, how much battery do I have in the screenshot?
86%.
Oh, that's where you pulled that number from. Well, I also have changed the outlines, so sorry, several times since. I thought maybe just like we can end on Apple Watch, but I just thought maybe we could like. Do you want to do the article from a couple months ago that was?
I'm happy to talk about it. It's a thing that I spend some time thinking about.
I mean, is it true? Is everyone cheating their way through college? You teach college.
I mean, I think it's everyone might be a stretch. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Maybe if everyone is doing it sometimes, is that everyone cheating their way through college? It's the discourse around AI in higher ed is very weird and very disorienting sometimes because my colleagues so I teach music composition. I'm the area coordinator for theory, composition, and musicology. And those are classes that involve people writing paragraphs from time to time. It often involves people writing whole papers. I don't think you could reasonably get a robot to write what I would consider to be a reasonable musicology or music theory paper, but you could probably get them to do some good chunks of it for you. The thing that I am most concerned about are the smaller writing assignments, the kind of lower stakes writing assignments that are not really about the writing, but that are about things like reflection that students are asked to do to get them to think about something in a different way, or the assignments that are just to hold them accountable for doing readings that they're going to come to class and discuss. Like, to me, that's the easiest thing for an AI to do. If I can grab an article from a scholarly journal and I have a prompt for a reading reflection from my professor, if I give those two things to ChatGPT, it will come up with a completely reasonable reflection paper that I can either use verbatim or tweak a couple of things and go to class the next day and have at least a B on that kind of assignment. Because that assignment, and to me, this is the thing that came up at the beginning of this whole outroar, or what outroar is nothing. This uproar about AI is. My first inclination was like, if the AI can do your assignment, then maybe you ought to rethink the assignment so that it's a better assessment of what the student is doing and thinking. And the problem is, we use some of the times the assessment is because we want to test the student's ability to do the thing that we're actually literally asking them to do. Right? When I ask a student to write a piece of music, the goal is for them to write a piece of music. But when I ask a student to read an article from a music theory pedagogy journal and write a few paragraphs of reflection on it, the goal is not for them to be able to write a reflection. The goal of that assessment is to make sure that they have read and thought about the thing before we come to class the next day. And I think there's a huge problem for those kinds of assignments where we don't have a better way to do it. I could have them all like record themselves talking about it or something. And certainly if they were super motivated, they could just ask ChatGPT to do it and then like read the script from ChatGPT into a microphone. But also, I don't want to spend all that time listening to them talk. I want to be able to quickly skim their 300 words. I'm not going to read it very carefully, but I'm going to skim it to make sure that they did something reasonable there. And I don't have a great solution for these kinds of assessments that we have where we're assessing something that's kind of tangential to what we've actually asked them to do in the assessment. So I do worry about those kinds of things. And the thing that is really dizzying is that everybody who teaches a writing-focused class at the university is worried about ChatGPT being used in place of critical thinking, in place of analytical processes, in place of original thought. And at the same time, the people who run our, university teaching and learning scholarship departments, like every university has this department that's like scholarship of teaching and learning or instructional resources or whatever it is. It's instructional designers. They work with the LMS. They work with the LMS implementation teams. And they're all gung-ho about the AI tools for instructors. So I can, type some instructions and it will ask me, hey, do you want an image there? I can generate one from AI that's related to the instructions that you wrote here. Hey, do you want a rubric? I can look at your instructions and generate a 4-category rubric for the assignment that you've created. And there's all kinds of AI-related tools like this that are being basically marketed to me by some of it's kind of second order through Microsoft, through my university offices. Some of it's second order from ChatGPT through my OpenAI through my university offices. Of all of these ways that I can use AI to either create my course materials or assess student work, and at some point there's just going to be this loop of wasteful energy of students having AI do their work and then faculty using AI to assess their work, and then in this loop of global climate change inducing computer usage, and I don't know what to do with that. My only salvation at the moment is that I mostly teach music composition, which, as long as you're doing it with notation, is a little trickier to use much AI for. It's, I think, a little bit easier if you're just using audio, but I don't know how long that's going to be true.
Well, and you know what? At a certain point, also, like who is choosing to be a composition major if they don't enjoy?
Right, and that's the other thing. Like when you read these stories about these people, like the one from where was that article in? It wasn't the New Yorker.
I will remember. I will link it in the show
The Atlantic
notes. I can't
or
remember
New York Magazine.
Like
I think it's New York Magazine.
Yeah.
The thing is, a lot of these people are going to college for some reason other than they want to learn stuff. And that's the biggest problem. And that's really a problem that is not of AI, actually. And now that we're talking about it, I'm realizing this. The problem is not AI. AI is just the way that students are using AI is a symptom of the greater problem that they don't care about what they're there for college for, and the misunderstanding that college is exclusively a job training platform for you to get job skills, or not even a job training platform for you just to like check a box to meet a minimum prerequisite to have a certain kind of job. It's and if your vision of a university education is just jumping through hoops so that you can jump through the next hoop, then sure. There's no reason why you wouldn't use AI to do all of your assignments. If your goal for going to college is to learn stuff, then you're not going to be motivated to use AI. Those are not the students who I'm worried about using AI. It's the problem is the times when students aren't motivated, and that's a problem that higher ed has had for a lot longer than OpenAI has been a company.
For sure. I'm going to leave it at that for now. This is going to obviously continue.
Sorry, that was a long rant, and I cut you off there. That was rude.
I think it's helpful because you're in our field, and this is what you're in the domain that you're actually teaching. And I just, I'm kind of like a little bit an AI doomer these days, and I know that you are going to look for places to use it if it's useful, but also that you're probably addressing some of these very exact challenges. So I think that's some very good insight. Yeah, I mean, so I guess this brings me to just a sort of related thing. I sent you earlier today. NAfME, the National Association for Music Education, has released an AI guidance document. I don't know if you've looked at it. And
I only had it for a couple hours. I've skimmed some parts of it, but I haven't read it in a lot of depth.
I don't know who this is. Like, I don't know who's going to read something like this unless they're already pretty interested and engaged with the topic, and maybe are already learning. I mean, I think it's important that we have this from NAfME. Did you have any like major takeaways? I have there's a couple things I wanted to touch on here just because I feel like they're things that maybe could have been clearer in the documentation. Like in the guidance document, there's I think is conflation the word I'm looking for? Like a whole bunch of different tools are all kind of being discussed in the same context. where I feel like just the very fact that this guidance document exists now is immediately like anyone who is aware of this document is going to immediately see this as a reaction to like ChatGPT or like all this wave of like generative LLM things that have come out. But like there's quite a few references to tools in the guidance document that are actually like things that have been around for a long time, and that are things that have not even necessarily been branded AI until the companies who make them jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, that feature where we like automatically EQ your voice as a plugin in your DAW, like, oh, that's AI. So like tools like that, tools that analyze.
If that's the bar, we're talking about autotune, right? Like that's then autotune is AI, and if autotune is AI, then what? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that's worth addressing here, where I have the platform to do so. Is I think like the distinction between the ethics of AI use, like just asking the questions of like ownership and creativity and learning, like engaging with learning. I think these are very, very different questions if you're using like Sight Reading Factory versus if you're using ChatGPT to write a paper for your music class. Like I think those are really different. Like me generating something that can assess if a kid can like accurately read notes and rhythms that they're looking at for 20 seconds. I mean, because we all know. I mean, even like something like Sight Reading Factory is not producing like extremely melodic, singable content that you might encounter in a real piece of music. But like as far as assessing the skill of like, can you like read accurately these notes and rhythms with these accidentals, with these slurs, these ties, and in these ranges, like that's proven to be a pretty useful tool, especially because to practice it effectively, you need to just be able to generate one after the other.
Right.
And there is something to be said for being able to play something that is slightly amusical, like it proves the skill.
Right.
So like for me to see that and like these auto-tune things and all these plugins kind of like in the same paragraph as like something that generates a reflection on a piece of music you've listened to, like I just want to say that I think those need to be really firmly distinguished by educators in our field if we're going to have any kind of like meaningful conversation about what AI is or isn't in the classroom.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's such a huge gulf between. I was surprised that music performance even came up in the document. Like I just don't see how music performance fits into this unless you're talking about something that is, I don't think, really problematic to anybody. Like this automated assessment stuff that you're talking about, like is Note Flight Learn really like a concern that we have for AI? Like I'm sure they brand it as AI, especially in the last 20 months, but I don't think anybody's worried about that in the same way that they're worried about something like Suno, just generating tracks, right? And the quality of the tracks that those kind of text to pop song AI services can do has really exploded lately. I was listening to an episode. Do you listen to the Hard Fork podcast?
Every now and then.
Okay. There's a very interesting discussion on the Hard Fork podcast about kind of the future of pop music with these generated AI generated pop songs. And they played an example of this like AI generated country song that had been making the rounds on TikTok. And it sounded like exactly like I would imagine a contemporary pop country song to sound like. That's, I think, probably a little alarming that it can sound as good as it does. They compared it to one that was somewhat kind of meme worthy popular from a little less than a year ago, and it was in quality, it was night and day. Just the audio quality was night and day. And so like that's, I think, a really different thing than a tool that I might use for my film composition students to take a video clip and remove the music from it, but keep the dialogue and the sound effects in the video clip, and then I can give it to them to write their own score. Like that's a really different kind of thing, but it's still using some of the same tools, but I don't think anybody's really concerned about it.
this is the thing too, is like, I understand that some people say like, well, this is just like today's version of the same conversation we've already had. I'm not sure if I think it is. Like, with regards to automation, like, I think automation is a great example of where AI is like kind of compelling to me, as we just discussed, because like, okay, like, because the word accessibility comes up a lot in these discussions about like what kinds of things students are able to do with computers. And like, I think there's still a difference between like let's just say that like GarageBand adds a feature that makes something that took like 80 clicks. Like, now you can just like choose like fade out my song at the end. Like, I just really feel like that's still fundamentally a different, just resolving a different kind of friction point than being able to type into a text box, make me a banger, K-pop song about a terrible breakup. Like, that's, and then just getting some audio output. Like, those are really, really fundamentally different kinds of acts.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really good point. And I think there's a lot of discourse that describes AI as this might be a Sam Altman-ism or something like that, CEO of OpenAI, a calculator for words. And I think you can use it as a calculator for words, kind of like you're saying, like where if there was just like a command bar in GarageBand or even Logic where you could just type a sentence, fade out the last 3 seconds, and it could do that with an automation curve or something. And it would know to create an automation curve that has the kind of quality of a radio style fade out. And it could probably do a pretty good job of that, where it would take you, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 clicks, if not closer to 15 or 20. And I think that would be a good thing. Like, that's the same kind of thing that something like Alfred or Launchbar or Raycast is doing at the level of your entire computer, or something like the command search in Sibelius or the jump bar in Dorico, where you just hit a button and you start typing stuff. Like, what if the jump bar was evaluating your input using an AI, and you could give it a basic instruction using tools that Dorico can already do, and it would apply those to your score. Like, I think that's not that problematic, but there's something very different when you ask it to, write a 40-minute orchestral suite in the style of Bela Bartok. Like, that's really different.
Yep, I agree. All right. I'm glad to get your take on it. It's been a while since we've kind of gone deep on it.
Yeah.
And more, of course, as always, to come. Do you think we can race against my 5% camera battery and do a quick music pick?
Let's do it.
Are you going to pick the same thing I'm going to pick?
Probably. Is it the thing that I have been badgering you about for a couple of months?
Yeah, I think we should do a joint music pick this week. Okay. Is it K-pop Demon Hunter?
K-pop Demon Hunters. It's fantastic.
I finally watched this movie over the weekend. I was like, I can't walk into school because I know my students are going to have seen this movie. So I earned a lot of credits for having the soundtrack playing when the wind ensemble walked into school the first day. Like, that was, the whole school is hip to it. And then Golden was like the morning announcements intro song the next day. We're all about it over at my school. Oh, very nice. I had not considered stickers.
I have a sticker of one of the characters. I won't spoil it. One of the characters from K-pop Demon Hunters, on the back of my iPad and on the back of my Mac. And I just bought that on Redbubble. So it's a very memeable piece of media, but it's great. The music is like really good, and Robby on a previous episode mentioned the long and growing playlist of K-pop bops that I and my fiance maintain on Apple Music, and I would say probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack is in this playlist, because they are bops. There's a brand new Stray Kids album that just came out like last week too. We're still evaluating it to see if they are K-bop worthy, but things are looking good so far.
Yeah, that's good.
But definitely check out K-pop Demon Hunters. The animation's great. Like, it's the same studio as the Spider-Verse films. So if you thought those looked cool, this looks just as cool. They made some really clever choices about the animation. The characters are all really good. The songs are good. They're performed really well. The characters are really nice. There's a lot of little, looks into K-pop, like there's a lot of K-pop isms in the thing. If you follow the K-pop fandom, there's a lot of K-pop fandom memes in there that are like a nice thing. I think it was like very respectful of the traditions that it was dealing with. So it's just a really, really great movie.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Very good movie. That's the show.
Did you watch it with Theo?
No, he hasn't seen it, but he's been enjoying the soundtrack with us.
Okay.
We weren't really sure. We did our like screening of it.
Yeah.
I have friends who were like, it's fine for a 5-year-old. I feel like I don't know, he's like sensitive to some stuff. I feel like some of the scenes would be scary. Mary is more sensitive to the idea of it than I am, but I could kind of go either way on it. He definitely likes the songs.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely likes the songs. Yeah. Really into it. So, could not recommend more. I gotta, at some point, I got some good stickers that Mary gave me for my birthday last year.
Nice.
That's from, I feel like this is exactly the bowl from Ponyo. Got a little Elden Ring one.
I haven't seen Ponyo. I don't know what Ponyo is.
Oh, it's just a Studio Ghibli one. It's great. It's like the Little
Oh, it's one of the
good.
only. So JC has been slowly introducing me to Ghibli. I had not seen any Ghibli until JC started showing me Ghiblis. Okay.
A lot of these are Ghibli, actually. Here's another Ghibli. This is Ponyo also.
Okay.
And I've got the Tonal Energy Peep booth had some Tonal Energy stickers. When I was
Oh,
at
that's pretty
TNA.
good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I got Remy the Rat. I've got Sonic the Hedgehog and some rings.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, here's one for the New York desk. That one is for Jay. It says on it, it's Bluey and Bingo. It says, "I don't want a valuable life lesson. I just want an ice cream."
I've never seen a Bluey. I heard good things.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's one of the things you gotta do it.
All right.
Just watch the episode. I gotta look up the title of it. The one with where like Bingo is like dreaming and it has like the planets in it, and there's like a purple stuffed bunny that she's got in it. That's the one. That's the one to start with to get a feel for it. Here's one for JC, Bonfire Lit.
Nice.
Yeah, I have like the side of my filing cabinet comes up against the left side of my desk, and it's black, the cabinet is, and I have all black and white monochromatic stickers on it, which I like the contrast of that to my very colorful toys on my desk.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I should like put these on the other side of the filing cabinet, or just like say no to that strategy and just go like full.
You'll
color.
never see them there.
That's the thing. I want to see them.
Yeah. Are you a laptop sticker person?
No, I really just don't go there.
Okay.
But
I have
these
become
are
a laptop sticker person.
These are very expressive stickers, though. I feel like maybe my new iPad, if I get a Magic Keyboard.
There you go. I mean, mine are on my Magic, or what is it, Magic Folio?
Yeah.
I use the Folio. That's the thing that I have around my iPad.
Because like, isn't this like a Merlin Mann thing, like wisdom bit? Like it's stupid to have stickers and not put them on things.
Yes. I think it's stickers are for sticking.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, so I like a whiskey, and there are people who like whiskey and just like collect whiskeys and never drink the whiskeys that they have collected. Like the whiskey that is too fancy to be drunk is too fancy to have in my house. Like,
right.
Like if I get the fancy whiskey, I want to drink it. I want to try it. And people are the same way about wines, right? They'll get a fancy wine and then they'll never want to drink it because no occasion could ever be special enough. Just drink the wine.
You're okay. This settles it. When I get a new iPad Pro, hopefully this fall, or whenever they announce one, these are going on the keyboard case.
Stickers are for sticking.
Stickers are for sticking. I like this. It's my most.
The number of aphorisms that I just rip off from Merlin Mann in my everyday life and never credit him for is high.
I feel like it's what he's best for. You have to listen to like 27 episodes of a podcast about Marvel Comics to get just one of those, though.
Right. I have fallen off the wagon of most of my Merlin podcasts. I don't listen to Roderick anymore.
I don't do it. I don't do any of them.
I used to listen to Roderick pretty religiously, and I used to listen to Do by Friday pretty religiously, and now I usually listen to Reconcilable Differences with him and John Syracuse.
I never got into that one. That would probably, though, be the most likely one for me to listen to, just because I feel like John Syracuse has got to anchor it a little bit, right?
It's pretty good. It's about they jokingly refer to it as John's Feelings podcast.
Okay.
Right, because Casey has his Feelings podcast, which is analog with Mike Hurley, and Marco has sort of his Feelings podcast, which is the one that he does with Underscore, and this is John's Feelings podcast.
Everybody needs a Feelings podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Music Ed Tech Talk. I hope you subscribe to the show and review it in your favorite podcast app. You can find me at RobbyBurns.com and Will at WillKoon.com. The show is edited by Jay Matejko. Design work is by Ryan Bailey. Everything else is by me. See you next time.